Hello everyone, I am Sharvari. Welcome to Decoding NEP with Makeshift. In the last two videos, we spoke about how Decoding NEP series has been structured, the core values emerging out of the policy, and how design thinking works in the policy context. If this policy is aligned with design thinking, the policy is aligned with culture of innovation and SDG 4. So in today's video, we will specifically talk about preschool and school education with respect to curriculum and pedagogical changes, and we will understand possibilities of innovation in education. So the thing is, we are focusing more on innovation. That is why we will talk about the tremendous possibilities of innovation that the policy provides and how we can go about it. In today's video specifically, we will not see how to go about it, but we will today will talk only about the possibilities of innovation. We'll explore all the possibilities that the policy provides. So the most important and the fundamental change in Indian education system that the policy is talking about, 10+2 system has been now will be changed to 5+3+3+4. So what is it exactly? For the first time, Indian education policy recognizes importance of this preschool, that is 5 years of preschool, from the age of 3 to 8. After that it comes, and first and second standard of course. After that it comes to preparatory stage or the foundation stage, that is for 8 to 11 years of age. Then it is middle school for 11 to 14 years of age, and then the secondary school for 14 to 18 years of age. It says that ECCE is important. By 2030, they will ensure that all the students will go through preschool education, and they will create a new national curriculum framework for early childhood care and education. Now they also say that in this particular age, in the preschool's age, children up to 8 years of age, learning should be playful, it should be inquiry based, activity based, and it should develop their social capabilities, social emotional skills, behavior, cognitive abilities. So a lot of things are envisioned in this particular age age group, like in the preschool and the first and second standard. So we generally talk about the motor skills or foundational literacy, numeracy skills, but taking a step forward to that, this policy is also talking about the social skills, behavior, then the sensitivity aspects, and a lot of that, like a lot of terminologies are used, like vocabulary, high-end vocabulary is used. But if you carefully see that the policy is saying that there is hell lot of opportunity for people working in pre-primary sector at the moment, like if you can provide SEL, if you can provide social emotional learning, cognitive abilities for the age group in preschools, there is lot of opportunity of innovation. Then it also says that Anganwadis should redevelop, and it should have good learning environment, like as of preschools, private preschools. That is why Anganwadi teacher training and school revamp should also happen. So if you are somebody who is working in this particular space, working for Anganwadi's redevelopment, or let's say providing similar kind of education for Anganwadi children, or if you want to develop new infrastructure for Anganwadis, or let's say if you want to work on capacity development of Anganwadi teachers, then definitely it is a very good opportunity for innovation. Now it also says that the ministry will work with women and child development, then the tribal affairs and home and family welfare department and all that. But it says that joint special task force for continuous guidance will be established. Now we don't know that what is this joint task force, and maybe this gives an opportunity, but we really don't know at the moment. Now free and compulsory education, if it is for preschools also, then RTE, right to education, also will be extended to that particular age group, and certainly it is a good sign, because before this we never recognized the importance of preschool. So it says that okay, once the child goes through this preschool and preschool stage, so the child will be school ready. You will be ready to go for first standard. Now in the first and second standard or preparatory stage, like third to fifth standard, they again say that play based learning, discovery based learning, activity based learning should be practiced. Now here they also say that learning should be interactive, then the foundational skills should be taken in account, reading, writing, speaking, and also it should provide a base for physical education, art, literature, language, social science and mathematics. Now if you see this carefully, our curriculum is structured in such a way at the moment that we have mathematics, we have language, we have social sciences, like environmental science and science with it's not exactly social science, but it creates a base for science and social science. So if you are considering so many aspects in preparatory stage, we really don't know that what is left. Like, does it look very cluttered? It says that it will be light on text, but if you consider so many aspects, then again the question arises, how much to do? And see, possibilities are tremendous, but then we need to decide how much to take in account and how much to leave. So it entirely depends on the curriculum developers, that they will say that okay, this kind of portion which is not very much in sync with today's needs, then that can be discarded, but we do not have an answer at the moment. Now going to middle school, it says that abstract concept in each subject like science, mathematics, art, social science, humanities will be developed, and experiential learning has to be practiced. Now the experiential learning part generally is practiced in primary and pre-primary, but it is very interesting to see how experiential learning can be developed in the further grades as well, like middle school or high school level. Now those who are working in experiential learning space, I think this is a great opportunity for exploration, like for higher education or for secondary education for the middle school. How can experiential education be practiced? Activities are still possible, but then giving a holistic perspective of curriculum is little difficult at that particular age. Why? Because in primary you can still say that okay, everything is connected, and we can show that okay, if you are doing a project related to social, environmental education, it will consider your language skills, your somewhat your mathematical abilities, and in some sense your presentation and soft skill aspect. But here in the middle school or high school where you have to go for subject specializations like history, geography, civics, science. There are like science 1, science 2, or then there is mathematics. Then you get into abstract concepts of mathematics. So how you teach these subjects in an integrated way is very, very interesting to see. Now the pedagogical changes are required, but there is no particular mention about curricular changes. What it means, the curriculum may remain same, we don't know as yet, but definitely the pedagogy has to change. Why? Because it entirely depends on the national curriculum framework which will come. We are expecting that to come in next few years. So if the national curriculum framework says that okay, our textbooks are going to be scrapped and we will develop new textbooks, then only there is a hope that okay, curriculum or syllabus will change. I am not saying the curriculum part, because curriculum is still a broader perspective of things, but syllabus has to change if you want to embed so many things. Especially you practice experiential learning, then the syllabus has to reduced. Then we come to secondary stage, where 4 years of multidisciplinary education should be done. Now we don't know how to practice it, but yes, so if we are providing, like we at Makeshift provide multidisciplinary projects, exposure to multidisciplinary projects through design thinking, through SDG goals and everything, through social innovation projects. But if you can map it to greater depth of a particular subject like social science, geography, history, or let's say science ke concepts, critical thinking, then if you can develop life skills through that, then it will become much more fruitful as per this policy document. Now they are saying that students would have option to continue with grade 10, continue with the schooling after grade 10. They call it specialized schooling, and we really don't know what is this specialized schooling at the moment, but they can also go for vocational courses or any different course, relevant course, whichever they feel interesting after grade 10. But schooling can be continued till grade 12. Now the question arises, what exactly is changing? Why? Because they are giving exit option after 10, and they are also saying that 10वीं के बाद तुम या तो स्कूल ही कंटिन्यू कर लो या तो वोकेशनल कर लो. तो अभी भी तो वैसा ही है. वी रियली आई मीन दिस इज as similar as the current model, but still they are saying that okay, 4 years of multidisciplinary secondary education is there in policy. Now you must be feeling that I am coming from a critical perspective here, but I'm just trying to map it to the current environment and highlighting pointers where we do not know answers to. Like, but there is clear possibility of innovation if you can bring multidisciplinary environment, if you can talk about core skill development like critical thinking, creative thinking, then there is problem solving, decision making. If you can do that, then it is an opportunity, then there is a lot of scope for you to innovate in secondary education space. Then the distinction between vocational education, specialized schooling. So specialized schooling say we can only relate to the 11th 12th grade ke syllabus at the moment, but then if you have a solution, let's say for specialized schooling, And if you can envision this specialized schooling for grade 11 and 12, which will be multidisciplinary in nature, which will be experiential in nature, which will develop your core abilities, I think then it makes sense to go ahead. Now the document also says that curriculum and pedagogical changes are required, but it says that no changes in physical infrastructure are required. It also talks about learner-centered approach. Now designing learning for the individual learner. So the most important point that I felt here is the customization. Like one thing cannot be applicable to all. So one solution cannot be applicable to all kinds of learners. That is why if we people can provide customized solutions for categories of learners, I think that is a good opportunity to explore here. Then now this, I'm not saying that these are the opportunities for business. These are opportunities for innovation. These are opportunities for educators to visualize these changes. With these opportunities, I think the educator, school leaders, and the teacher educators have greater opportunity to envision all these changes, embrace all these changes, and actually implement them at a school level. Then now the specific skills and curricular integration of essential subjects. Now the skills they are saying scientific temper, evidence-based thinking, creativity, innovation, communication, citizenship skills, coding, ethics, value education, sensitivity. So the soft skill aspects has been highlighted for sure. Curriculum and training in the soft skill aspect is also important according to the document. Now if you can inculcate entrepreneurship skills in learner, that is very, very interesting to see in coming days. Now the AI, artificial intelligence, coding, design thinking, machine learning, holistic health, organic living, global citizenship education, environmental education. Now these are the global skills to put you in a very, very different zone altogether. Like you can still be rooted in your environment, in your geography, in your cultural context, but with these kind of soft skill where the learner is kind of placed in the global environment as well. So local to global aspect has been highlighted with this particular section of the policy. Now the vocational skills like traditional crafts or skills like carpentry, electric work, metal work. So they will be given importance. The students will be provided internships. Now this gives an opportunity for breaking that stigma of mental work versus physical work. हम लोग हमेशा ही बोलते थे कि यार अगर तुम कारपेंटरी कर रहे हो, तुम प्लम्बिंग कर रहे हो, तो तुम नीचे हो in comparison with somebody who is doing the mental work like a manager or a coder. But यहाँ पे I can see a huge opportunity to bridge that gap, and employers के लिए भी this is like offering internship is something like producing their future employees, and this is a great opportunity for learners to get job ready while in school. So many of us did not get that kind of great opportunity. Then mathematical thinking, computational thinking is highlighted by the document. data science, AI, machine learning, computational thinking. Now they are saying this is important throughout your schooling. Of course, the world is moving towards AI, the world is moving towards technological adoption, so we have to be in sync with that. But then, does this allow all kinds of learner? Is it important for all kind of learners? Is it important for all people, people in all the geographies, people in all the socio-economic situations? There's a question mark for sure. Now, teaching mathematics in interesting way, teaching coding in interesting way, teaching technology in interesting way. Now, students are generally deep dived into technology with projects. It happens that students may not understand the basics of technology while working on applications directly. So this gives an opportunity where you can deep dive in the basics of coding, basics of computational thinking first, and after that go through your applications and developing your projects. That way your base will be strong. Now the hands-on experience is also highlighted. It is very, very important. Practical education mapped with the local needs, so skills which are locally required. Now this gives huge opportunities for the innovation labs, for the tinkering labs present in the country, where they can inculcate crafts, they can inculcate the local skills, indigenous knowledge, and form a community around it. Why? Because this is really important to have that kind of culture, that kind of community of artisan, craftsmen and technology. So when all these people come together, then only I think we can form that kind of balance, and students and the learners will be able to see it in in a similar way. Like craft is also important, art is also important, and technology is also important. So if we want to create a multidisciplinary environment, then this is really, really important to have this kind of balance at your innovation centers, at your tinkering labs. Then the policy document also says that knowledge of India is important, ancient knowledge. So according to my understanding, it is talking more about the Vedic knowledge system. It also says that tribal knowledge and other indigenous knowledge systems are also important. We should embrace them. Now the contribution of Indian knowledge system to the present environment, to the present education system, recognizing that is important. I really don't have that much understanding of this sector to talk about it, but yes, the thing is, they are saying that glamorous part of history should be remembered. This is the messaging that I am getting, because this is great, this has contributed in significant way, and the knowledge should be highlighted. I'm not saying the knowledge is bad, knowledge is definitely there, it is great, but the success part, the challenges part, and the contribution part to the present environment, not sure how does that go in sync. But is if we are talking about the holistic health, organic living, then knowledge of Ayurveda can be taken in account maybe, and ancient science maybe can be taken in account. Not sure of that, this part, but yeah, the glamour part is little bit highlighted according to my understanding. Then the logic, decision making, values in Indian system, basic human rights, and the constitutional values, they should be inculcated throughout the schooling. This is a definitely, it is good to see that government is recognizing importance of value education also. and importance of computational mathematical thinking, logical reasoning, scientific temper. It is not that only this policy document is recognizing that, but the National Curriculum Framework, which came in 2005, that also recognized it in some way. Now, talking about the transformation in schooling, impression is such that learning should be rooted in Indian context, in the geographical context, in the cultural context, but it should also be global. So tomorrow we will further discuss about the innovation possibilities in curriculum and schooling. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you.